ABC is adding to its summer fun and games roster with a new game show hosted by Gina Rodriguez and Shaquille O'Neal. Kind of an odd pairing. Let's talk about Lucky 13. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my game show review for Lucky 13. This is airing Thursday nights on ABC, and it has Gina Rodriguez from Jane the Virgin and Shaquille O'Neal from being Shaquille O'Neal as the two hosts, and we'll get into the specifics here of this game show momentarily. But first, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews on the channel, and just about every day something new goes up, so there's always a lot to check out. With that in mind, please consider subscribing, click that like button, comment below, all that stuff. Of course, does wonders for the channel. I certainly do appreciate it. But you can check out my game show playlists as well. I've reviewed a lot of primetime game shows and some syndicated game shows too over the years. But recently, we had Snake Oil with David Spade and Lotteria Loca on CBS and Raid the Cage. There's been a lot of primetime game shows. You know why? Because they're cheap to produce. And so networks love that. And people can just kind of jump in anytime. You don't have to watch, every single episode. So ABC's been doing this actually for many years over their summer breaks. Instead of running a bunch of reruns, they have been doing a lot of these game shows. And most of them have been revivals. They did Press Your Luck and The Match Game, and Card Sharks was on for a little while, and The Celebrity Family Feud, of course, with Steve Harvey. But this is a brand new one, and we have not even borrowed this from another country, like sometimes happens. This is an American original, and it is from actually one of the co-creators or creators of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So obviously, they had a ton of success with ABC back in the early 2000s. So now they have decided, okay, let's have another quiz show. So yeah, here's how this one plays out. Essentially, two full games are played in the hour. So they're each really half-hour games. And they each contestant is asked 13 questions, true, false, all of them. And the person just says what they think, and they get enough time, to sort of talk it out if they want to, or if they have a comment or whatever, they can make it. And then true or false, okay, great. And the questions are kind of rapid fire. Shaq asks them, which we'll get to the hosting part in a moment, but his diction is not always the best. Some of the questions are a little bit hard to follow, but in any event, by the end of it, they then go up against the big board and see how many they got right. But the twist is they have to try and guess how many of the 13 they got right. In batches of 3, the money goes up the higher up they go. So if they think they got 0 to 3 right or whatever, 1 to 3, they get some piddly amount. Most of the people in the 2 episodes I watched went with the 7 to 9 questions correct option, and that would get them $25,000 if they're correct in their guess that they got 7 to 9 correct. And then for an extra bonus of money, they can pick what number inside that range specifically they think they got correct, 7, 8, or 9. And it goes all the way up to, if you think that you got all 13 correct, and you do, then you win $1 million. So that's, the top prize. 100,000 is the tier below that, which would be 10, 11, or 12. So anyway, that's sort of the basics of the game. And then, of course, there's a couple of twists along the way. They can, change one of their answers. Sponsored by Pepsi, some product placement there. You can refresh one of your answers with the Pepsi refresh. And then you could also get at one point a sort of guaranteed cash payout when it looks like they're sort of getting close. And okay, well, you have maybe 4 questions left, but you have to only get 1 right to get in that range or whatever it is. And they'll give you sort of a guaranteed payout if you want to go home immediately with that. So there's a few twists here. And the questions are okay. Although some of them I thought were very easy that the contestants didn't know. I think this was maybe in the second episode, but one of the questions was, Abraham Lincoln was our 13th president, true or false? If you're on a trivia show, I mean, even I know that I don't know my history very well, but Abraham Lincoln is very famously the 16th president of the United States, and she actually didn't know that answer. So, but it doesn't matter really what you know of these questions. It's how much you think that you know. It's you have to know what you know and know what you don't know, basically, on this show. So as a concept, it's okay. I mean, I've gone to trivia nights where the final round, you do have to guess your score, and if you get it right, if you say, oh, our team got 8 correct out of this 10 or whatever, if you're correct on your guess, they double your points. So I'm used to sort of that concept of knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know, sort of thing. But there are a lot of problems with this show, and the questions and really the format are not the issue. They're okay. What I have issue with, well, first of all, let's talk about the look. Okay. The questions are so tiny at the bottom of the screen. I understand there's big TVs now and people can see bigger things, but the question comes across the screen so very, very small. And then Shaq is reading it, who, he can get some things right, but he definitely mispronounced a few things. Look, Shaq, love him or hate him, whatever. I don't follow basketball, so I don't really care about that aspect of his life, and I don't watch him really as a sportscaster. But I've seen Kenan Thompson's impression of him, certainly on SNL, where he's sort of stumbling over words and getting his tongue wrapped up in his mouth and sort of, muttering things that are kind of unintelligible. That was my experience watching this show. And then Gina Rodriguez, I liked her on Jane the Virgin, but she is very low energy for this type of show. I was a little bit shocked. And look, not every host is in your face and that kind of thing. I'm thinking specifically kind of like Meredith Vieira when she would host Millionaire, or now that she's hosting 25 Words or Less. I wouldn't say she is, overly boisterous as a host. She's more matter of fact. She also comes from the world of news. She was on The View and the Today Show and that kind of thing. So I guess maybe that bleeds into that. But I don't know. The two of them, Gina and Shaq, sort of an odd pairing. I will say there were a couple of funny lines that Shaq had. I don't know if they were off the cuff or if, they had pre-scripted banter or whatever. But, I think he had a couple of funny moments. It's just... when the question reader is Shaq and they don't really put the question on the screen very large for you to read, it's a little confusing. I can't say I was thrown off by any of the questions necessarily, but certainly couldn't read them. I had to hear them from what Shaq was saying. So hosting, not my favorite part. And the look of it, like I was saying with that. But other than that, I think the concept is good. I definitely like the questions that are being asked. They do the sort of bait and switch thing that I hate, though, with the true false question, where they'll say something that's really close. It's similar, I don't know, so and so invented the whatever, and it's the first name's wrong or something like that. Now a question okay, Abraham Lincoln's the 13th president. Obviously he's the 16th. All right, that's more straightforward, even though that is a little bit of a bait and switch, I guess. But I don't know. The questions, some of them are phrased, I think, to purposely trip people up, which I don't love. I'm not a good test taker, so that's why I don't love that kind of thing. But so look, overall, I think this is a bit of a miss. But I do appreciate the concept of the show. But I don't think Gina Rodriguez and Shaq are the right hosts for this. And I think the whole, product placement with let's do the Pepsi refresh. Pepsi is all over these game shows, by the way. They had a game show a few years ago called Cherries Wild, and it was basically a half-hour long advertisement for Wild Cherry Pepsi with Jason Biggs as the host. That was a trivia contest as well. So I get it. You got to get your ad dollars in where you can these days, because a lot of people have streaming packages without commercials or whatever. But it just seemed very shoehorned in. And up at the top, Shaq is a terrible card reader. When he's introducing the concept of the game, he just seemed very stiff. I don't know. I mean, look, he's a sportscaster, so I was a little surprised by that. But yeah, overall, I would say Lucky 13 gets a C- from me. Good to watch, if you want some trivia questions, but other than that, I think it could use a lot of Pepsi refreshes to the show itself. So, all right, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time.